Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I would like to welcome you to attend the session of biochemistry in the module of endocrinology and reproduction. Actually, it is the module concerned to the second year MBBS student, and here we have a very first lecture of biochemistry regarding introduction, structure, and mechanism of action of hormones. Let's see the objectives of this activity. Here we have to define hormones and try to understand the general organization of endocrine system. Then we will make a list of properties of hormones. Then we will describe general structure of hormones, classify hormones, and then we will see the characteristics of target cells and hormone receptors. The target cells and hormone receptor knowledge is important to understand the mechanism of action of hormones, which is our main objectives. So these are our objectives. Let move to the main topic. Here I would like to give you some introductory information regarding the endocrine system. Actually, biochemistry of hormones or endocrinology is the study of hormones, endocrine system, and their role in the biological functions of the body. Actually, there are three systems which are very well organized, interconnected, and performing a great role in controlling the body functions. These three systems are endocrine, nervous system, and immune systems. They integrate stimuli and responses to change in the external and internal environment. All of them are crucial to coordinate functions of highly differentiated cells of the body. So we know that endocrine glands are the system of ductless glands. They are not having contact, or they are not interconnected with one another like GIT or the gastrointestinal system, in which the different organs are arranged one by one. But in case of endocrine system, the glands are widespread in the body. For example, thyroid is present in the neck, pancreas here in the abdomen, and elsewhere. The other endocrine glands are distributed in different areas of the body. Some of the important endocrine glands are mentioned in this figure, like hypothalamus, thyroid, pituitary, adrenal, pancreas, ovary, and testes. As we will move in the module further, we will study these endocrine glands in detail in different subjects. Here is the table showing the names of the important endocrine glands and what they do, means what is their main functions. For example, pituitary is considered as a master gland that regulate all other endocrine glands and also release growth hormones. But the word or this term of master gland is, according to some biochemists, is reserved for hypothalamus, because hypothalamus is supposed to controlling the pituitary as well. So there is some controversial information that in old books master gland is reserved for pituitary, but in latest information it is designated for hypothalamus. Then pancreas, ovaries, testes, each one have their own secretions by the name of respective hormones, and they have their particular functions. Now here we have the definition of hormones. So hormone is a biochemical substance that is secreted into the blood by one cell or the group of cells, and these cells obviously are the cells of endocrine gland, and then after transporting through the blood circulation, these hormones reaches to the target cells and perform its action. Here we have some important characteristic features or the properties of the hormone. Like, it is a specific biochemical compound. Chemically, a hormone may be polypeptide, steroid, fatty acid derivatives, or amines. It is produced by specific tissues of the body. Obviously, these are the endocrine glands. From the endocrine gland, it is secreted or released into the body fluids, mainly in the blood. Then it is carried to the distant target cells, and it then perform its action or alter the pre-existing mechanism. From this point, we can understand that a hormone cannot start a mechanism or the function. Already existing function is altered or regulated by the action of hormone. It is present in very low concentration, and its amount is very low in the blood. So these are the some important features of the hormone. Now come on to see the general structure and functions of hormones. Main functions of hormone, as we know, that they regulate different metabolic pathways, they coordinate activities of the different organs of the body, and some hormones control the rate and type of growth of the body as well. Regarding structure, the chemical nature of hormone may be steroid, protein or polypeptide hormones, amino acid derivative hormones, and fatty acid derivative hormone. So these are the four categories showing the chemical nature or the chemical structure of hormones. Now we will consider a little bit more detail of structure of hormones one by one. First, steroid hormones. So these steroid hormones are actually derived from the cholesterol. For example, sex steroids, testosterone, and other adrenal steroids such as cortisol, all these are the steroid hormones. So basic unit present in them is the cholesterol. They by nature they are lipid soluble, they diffuse through the cell membrane easily, and they are released from the endocrine glands like adrenal cortex, ovaries, testes, and placenta. So these endocrine glands are mainly responsible for secreting steroid hormones. Next group of hormones are the protein or the polypeptide hormones. They are not lipid solubles. They are received by receptors external to the cell membranes. Further, they may be large polypeptide like insulin or parathyroid hormones, or small polypeptides like oxytocin and antidiuretic hormone. Another subtypes of the protein or polypeptide group of hormones are the glycoproteins like follicle stimulating hormones or thyroid stimulating hormone, as well as luteinizing hormones. All these are glycoprotein in nature. They are released from different endocrine organs like parathyroid gland, adrenal medulla, pituitary gland, and pancreas. So it is one of the chemical category of hormones. Next type of the hormones on the basis of their chemical structures are the amino acid derivatives. They are exclusively derived from the specific amino acid. For example, thyroid hormones. They are derived from the tyrosine, as well as catecholamines. They are also derived from tyrosine. Tyrosine is an amino acid, you know very well. Thyroid hormones actually are the combination of tyrosine and iodine. They also have iodine. While the catecholamines are the group of three substances like dopamine, epinephrine, and norepinephrine. These three, all of them are derived from the tyrosine, and collectively these three substances are called catecholamine. Melatonin is also a type of amino acid derived hormone, and it is derived from the tryptophan. The next and the last group of hormones regarding chemical structures are the fatty acid derivatives hormones, or the eicosanoids. They are the large group of molecules derived from the polyunsaturated fatty acids, which is the 20 carbon polyunsaturated fatty acids, arachidonic acid actually. And the principal group of hormones of this class are prostaglandins, prostacyclins, leukotrienes, and thromboxanes. So these are the this was the information about the chemical structure of hormones. Now move to the next information. Here the different types of the hormone present in the body are categorized or grouped into two: group 1 and group 2. In group 1 we put steroids hormones like thyroid hormone, calcitriol, and retinoids. While the group 2 comprises of polypeptides, proteins, glycoproteins, and catecholamines. Regarding their solubility, group 1 hormones are lipophilic while group 2 are hydrophilic. They need transport proteins while group 2 can travel well without requiring transport proteins. Plasma half-life of the group 1 hormones are comparatively long, while group 2 hormones have short half-lives. They need group 1 hormones need intracellular receptors, while the receptor for the group 2 hormones are plasma membrane, and mediator or the action through which they perform their activity are the receptor hormone complex for group 1, and for group 2 they need second messenger like cyclic AMP, cyclic GMP, calcium, metabolites of complex phosphoinositols, and they also involve kinase cascade for their action. So here we have the information regarding the two main groups of the hormones. Now some information about the hormones according to the mode of action. We have a typical endocrine hormones, paracrines, and autocrines. So typical endocrine hormones or the secretions are synthesized by the endocrine glands. They release into the blood circulation, carry it via the blood to the target cells. Typical examples are the glucagon and growth hormones. So they have their actions quite away from their source of secretion. Paracrine, they are synthesized near to their target cells and transported by local diffusions. So their destination or their target is close to their source of secretion. For example, angiotensin and kinins. Autocrines, they are the hormones synthesized by the group of cells and they immediately perform their action on the same cells. So that's why they are called autocrine. For example, prostaglandins and histamines. Now come on to discuss the main objectives of today's activity, that is the mechanism of action of hormones. On the basis of mechanism of action of hormones, all the hormones are divided into two groups. Group 1 are the hormones that bind to the intracellular receptors, means they do their actions by combining with some receptor present inside the cell, while the other group of hormones are that bind to the cell membrane receptors, means while they are performing their action they first bind to the receptor present on the cell membrane of the target cell. Some of the features, although we have already mentioned in the previous slide in the form of tables, but some characteristic features are also given here. Like hormones acting through intracellular receptors are lipophilic. They need transport protein to reach the target cells. They have long plasma half-lives. Their action is mediated by forming hormone receptor complex within the cell. Steroid and the thyroid hormone are the main example for these groups. While the hormones that bind to the cell membrane receptors are hydrophilic, they need no transport protein. They have short plasma half-life, but the characteristic feature of these group of hormone is that they mediate their action through second messenger. It means that first they combine with the cell membrane receptors, then after binding of hormone to the cell membrane receptors, a second messenger is initiated, started its action and continue the action of hormones. So some second agent is required for the action of this group of hormones. Examples are protein and polypeptide hormones, catecholamines, and icosanoids are the group of hormones acting through this mechanism. Now we will go to see the detail of mechanism of action of hormones of these two groups. First group 1 and then group 2. Let's move to the next topic. Because before going to see the detail of the mechanism of action of hormone, it is better to understand some thing about the target cell and the receptors, because they are involved in understanding the mechanism of action of hormones. Target cell, it is actually the cells where the hormones do their action, and it is the cell where hormones should go and perform their action. Right. So hormone only work on certain cells called target cells. Target cells have special receptors that recognize the hormone and allow them to influence the cells. For example, here is the target cell. Target cell for hormone A. Hormone A is mentioned by this uh, sign or symbol or the shape, and hormone B is indicated by red triangle. So this hormone is specific for this receptor, while this hormone B is specific for this receptor. So depending upon the type of receptors, hormone go and do their action. For example, hormone A can do its action on this cell. Hormone B can do its action on this cell, while hormone A and B both can perform their action on this cell because it has a receptor for both the hormones A and B. Now, what are the hormone receptors? Actually, when hormones are released from the endocrine glands and they are in the way to reach to the target cells, they actually combined or do their action on the target cells on some specific points present on the target cell. This specific point is called hormone receptors. So that's why the action of hormone is seen only some selected cells, and these cells are the actual target cells, and they have specific receptors to say welcome and allow hormones to combine with them. So chemically these receptors are protein actually, and they reversibly bind to the hormones, and they have high specificity and sensitivity. On the basis of the functions, they are they have recognition site which is on the outer side, and the signaling side which is on the internal sides, and it allow to continue the action of hormone. So presence of hormone receptor on the target cell is essential. Sometimes hormones are failed to do their action because these hormones are blocked, these hormone receptors are blocked or defected or damaged by any way, and as a result some pathology occur in the body. So knowledge of hormone receptor is important in understanding the dynamics of endocrinology. Now some information about the location of receptors. So receptors are of two main types. Receptors for peptide hormones, they are membrane associated, and they are embedded in the plasma membrane at the surface of the cell. While the receptor for the steroid hormones are usually found within the cytoplasm and are referred as intracellular or nuclear receptors. Sometimes these receptors are also present on the membrane of mitochondria, but common point is that they are present inside the cell in the cytoplasm, either on the nuclear membrane or on mitochondrial membrane. Now we are ready to discuss the mechanism of action of hormones that are acting through intracellular receptors, and these are the two main enzymes which are acting through this mechanisms are the steroid and the thyroid hormones. So remember that steroid and thyroid hormones act through intracellular receptors. Because they are steroidal in nature, they diffuse freely into the cells, and their receptor is present in the cytoplasm for steroid hormones, and for thyroid hormone it is present on nuclear membrane. These hormones bind to the receptors, forming the hormone receptor complex. Then this complex is able to bind DNA sequence. This complex move to the nucleus, and it is able to bind particular DNA sequence called hormone response element HRE. This HRE causes activation or inactivation of the transcription process. As a result, a particular protein is produced and the action of hormone is achieved. These transcription factors are actually on or off by the action of this HRE element. Again, I am revising this. The hormones acting through intracellular receptors are the steroid and the thyroid hormone. Their receptor is present inside the cytoplasm. Binding of these hormones to their receptors causes the formation of HRE complex. This HRE complex or element is able to start transcription factor, or sometime it uh, resist or block the action of transcription factors in order to regulate the cell activity. So this is a way of action of hormones through intracellular receptors. Here is the diagrammatic explanation of mechanism of action of the steroid and thyroid hormone. In this figure we have action of the steroid hormones. The steroid hormone diffuse freely into the cytoplasm. They combine with the receptors. The receptors hormone and receptor complex move to the nucleus and then attach with the specific DNA part, which is called HRE, hormone response elements. As a result, gene activation occur, process of transcriptions occur, then translation leads to the protein synthesis, and as a result overall action of hormone is achieved. Same thing happened here in case of thyroid hormone. Here the thyroid hormone combined with the receptor present on the mitochondrial membrane, and the rest of the steps are same as we saw in the action of steroid hormone. So this was the detail about the mechanism of action of steroid and thyroid hormone. So the next group of hormones perform their action is through second messengers. So these hormones have their receptor on the cell membrane. The hormone actually combined with the receptor present on the cell membrane, and the combination of hormone with receptor on the cell membrane causes the activation of some other chemical substance within the cells. This chemical substance, which activate as a result of binding of hormone on the cell membrane, is called second messenger. Or in other words, you can say that these group of hormones actually need some other chemical substance to carry their message to the interior of the cells for their action. They use some second agent, which is called second messenger. Most important second messenger are cyclic AMP, cyclic GMP, calcium or phosphatidylinositol, and protein cascade system. So this group of hormones need second messenger, and these are the list of these second messenger. One by one we will consider the role of these second messengers, and we will see which hormones need this particular second messenger. Some of the hormones need cyclic AMP. So here first our topic is to know the information about the hormones acting through cyclic AMP. So it is clear that there is a group of hormones which need second messenger cyclic AMP to perform their actions. So as I already mentioned that binding of protein to this cell membrane receptor activate the regulatory protein called G protein. G protein is a special protein which has an ability to combine with the guanosine, and this protein is involved in activating the enzyme which is required for the formation of cyclic AMP. For example, in this case ATP produce cyclic AMP through adenylyl cyclase or adenylate cyclase. This adenylyl cyclase enzyme need presence of active G protein. So What happened when adenylate cyclase is activated? It catalyzes the formation of cyclic AMP from ATP, and then cyclic AMP can mediate the action of hormones. So here we are discussing the mechanism of action of those hormones which need cyclic AMP, and in this category we are describing the role of cyclic AMP. In the next slides we have little bit more information about the action of hormones through cyclic AMP. This is very clear diagram explaining the mechanism of action of hormones using cyclic AMP as second messenger. So first what happened, hormones bind to the receptor. This red spheres are the hormone and it is the receptor. Presence of receptor with the hormones activate the G protein. G protein is a special proteins which is able to activate the enzyme adenylate cyclase. So what happened? G protein receive GTP, guanosine triphosphate, then this G protein activate the adenylate cyclase. It is enzyme necessary for the conversion of GTP to cyclic GTP attached to the G protein, and then adenylate cyclase convert ATP to cyclic AMP. So these are the four steps. Again I am repeating. First, hormone bind to the receptors, then G protein become active, receive GTP, receptor activates G proteins, then G protein activates adenylate cyclase. Adenylate cyclase is the enzyme required for the conversion of ATP into cyclic AMP. Now this cyclic AMP take over the action of this hormone. Whatever the message, whatever the wishes of these hormones are now fulfilled by the second messenger, that is cyclic AMP, which is usually the formation of a specific protein. So this is the role of second messenger. So second messenger is not easily formed. It has many intermediate steps as mentioned here. Here we have the list of hormones acting through cyclic AMP as second messenger. So this is the explanation about the hormones acting through the cyclic AMP. Now some more information about the G protein. Actually G protein is a complex protein, and it is called G protein because it binds to the guanosine containing substances like GDP or GTP. It acts as a relay station and consists of the 3 polypeptide subunits. These are the 3 subunits of the G protein. When hormone combine with the receptor, it becomes active and it is now able to receive GTP. Association of GTP with the G protein causes the separation of some of the domain, and this domain actually combined with the adenylate cyclase. This is enzymes required for the conversion of ATP to cyclic AMP. So this is the help of G protein to activate adenylate cyclase or adenylyl cyclase enzyme, which is necessary for the formation of cyclic AMP. So this is the role of G protein, which is necessary for the activation of respective enzyme for the formation of second messenger. Now hormones acting through cyclic AMP. We are continuing with the second messenger, that is the cyclic AMP. There are 2 further mechanisms by which cyclic AMP mediates hormone effect. Now cyclic AMP is formed through G protein and adenylyl cyclase enzyme. What happened next? There are 2 possibilities. The cyclic AMP activate protein kinase system, or it is involved in activation of the gene expression. So these are the 2 results which may be seen in working of cyclic AMP. Remember that cyclic AMP is produced as a result of action of some hormones which bind to the membrane receptors. Anyhow, cyclic AMP is produced. Now it will act or continue the action of hormones through protein kinase system or gene expression. One by one we will discuss them. In case of action of cyclic AMP through protein kinase, it causes activation of protein kinase. This protein kinase is made up of 4 proteins having 2 regulatory sites and 2 catalytic sites. Active protein kinase phosphorylates serine or threonine residues of the specific protein that mediate hormone action. So phosphorylation is the next action performed by protein kinase. Phosphorylation of serine or threonine residues of the some specific protein in the cytoplasm, in which we are going to see the action of that hormone is occurs through phosphorylation. Similarly, cyclic AMP may involve in the activation of the gene expression. In this case, cyclic AMP binds to the protein called cyclic AMP response element binding protein, which binds to the HRE hormone response elements to affect the gene expressions. So we can say that cyclic AMP can continue further action of the hormone by this or by this mechanism. When action is over, then cyclic AMP is hydrolyzed by phosphodiestases, which is inhibited by methylxanthine and caffeine. So if methylxanthine or caffeine are present in the cell, then cyclic AMP is not hydrolyzed by phosphodiesterase. So is it some important informations? This thing may be asked in some clinical scenarios or the questions related to this topic. Another second messenger is cyclic GMP. It is just like cyclic AMP. If you have understood the mechanism of action of the cyclic AMP and the role of cyclic AMP as second messenger, so it is easy to understand cyclic GMP. Same steps and same mechanism is involved, but the nature of or the type of hormone and the target cells are different. So it is the cyclic GMP is also a second messenger used by hormones called atriopeptines, for example ANF or atrial natriuretic factor, which is secreted by the cardiac arterial tissues, causing smooth muscle relaxation and vasodilation and diuresis. So this hormone is specific hormone which use cyclic GMP as second messenger. While in the previous discussion we saw that there are the hormones which use cyclic AMP. So you know this knowledge, you know this information that which hormone is using which specific second messenger. So ANF is the hormone which used cyclic GMP. So mechanism of action is same. ANF bind to the receptor which causes the activation of the some specific G protein. Then G protein here activate another enzyme which is guanylate cyclase, and guanylate cyclase is responsible for the conversion of the GTP into cyclic GMP. After performing the action or continuing the action of the hormone, cyclic GMP is hydrolyzed again by the phosphodiesterase, the same enzyme as we saw in the cyclic AMP case. Now there are some hormones which act through calcium or phospholipids as second messenger. So what happened in this case? Hormone receptor complex is created or formed after the loading of hormone on the specific receptors. Then it activates a specific G protein. Here the G protein is GQ. This G protein activates the enzyme phospholipase. These phospholipase enzyme act on the phospholipid present in the cell membrane and causes the release of two important lipid substance. One is 1,2-diacylglycerol and another is an inositol triphosphate. These two now separately act as second messenger. In case of 1,2-diacylglycerol, it activates protein kinase C, which phosphorylate specific protein, specific enzymes that mediate the effect of the hormone. So in this case, hormone use second messenger 1,2-diacylglycerol, while in this case the hormone use inositol triphosphate. It stimulates calcium influx. When This second messenger is involved, it causes the entry of calcium. When this second messenger is involved, it causes the activation of the protein kinase. Inositol triphosphate causes activation entry of the calcium influx and also activate colmodulin protein. These effects causes the phosphorylation of the specific protein and mediating the action of the hormone. So same mechanism is involved here in third type of the second messenger. Previously we saw the role of cyclic AMP and cyclic GMP. Here we are discussing the role of calcium and various phospholipids. All of them are conveying the message of hormone and producing hormonal effect in the cell through different ways. The hormones, name of the hormones using this mechanism are the epinephrine, norepinephrine, angiotensin 2, antidiuretic hormones, ADH, that is gonadotropin releasing hormone, thyroxine releasing hormone. So these are the hormones which act through these second messenger. Now the last second messenger is the protein kinase cascade. The good example for in this case is the insulin. Insulin is a very well known anabolic hormones of the endocrine pancreas. Loss of the deficiency of insulin is associated with the diabetes mellitus, everyone know. So some hormones act on receptors with the intrinsic tyrosine kinase activity. So insulin is a hormone, it is a protein hormone. If it is a protein, it has many amino acids, and one of the amino acids are the tyrosine. This tyrosine has kinase activity. So what happened when insulin receptors are charged with the insulin? The protein kinase activity in its cytoplasmic domain become active, and it causes phosphorylation. That is, the binding of insulin to its receptor causes activation of the tyrosine kinase activities which autophosphorylate its receptor. It means that when insulins bind to the receptor, some portion of receptor become attached with the phosphate, which is called autophosphorylation, and this autophosphorylation actually occur due to tyrosine kinase activity of the same receptor, which is the insulin receptor. This phosphorylated receptor phosphorylate a group of the molecules called insulin receptor substrate on the tyrosine residues, leading to the cascade of physiological effects. What happened when this insulin receptor is phosphorylated? Now it phosphorylates some other specific protein within the cell, target cell, where hormone is going to do its action. So as a result, cascade means series of physiological events takes place. So remember that the very good example of hormones acting through protein kinase cascade is insulin. In the next slide we have diagrammatic explanation. Here same thing whatever I explained previously is mentioned here in the form of diagram. It is the insulin receptor. When insulin is receptor is loaded with the insulin, tyrosine kinase activity causes addition of phosphate to the insulin receptors. This insulin receptors then initiate insulin receptor substrates to become phosphorylated, and these phosphorylated insulin receptor substrates bring about series of action. A detail of this you will again study when you will do insulin and its mechanism. Here the type of the insulin receptors, figure of this insulin receptor is mentioned, and it has two parts. One is the outer part, which is specific for receiving insulin, and it is the inner part, and this inner part has tyrosine kinase domain. This tyrosine kinase become active when insulin combine with this receptor. This tyrosine kinase causes a attachment of the phosphate with this, and then some IRS, insulin receptor substrates, are also phosphorylated under the influence of this receptor, and then the action of or the effect of hormones are seen. Now the last thing is that some of the hormones acting through the protein kinase may use intracellular associated tyrosine kinase activity. In the previous example, we saw that tyrosine kinase activity was present in the receptor itself, but here tyrosine kinase activity is found in some other specific proteins. For example, growth hormone, prolactin, and cytokines are the hormones which, when attached to the membrane receptors, their attachment with the membrane receptor causes the activation of the tyrosine kinase in some other proteins. These proteins are cytoplasm associated, and these are called Janus kinase. This is the name given for this kind of protein. These proteins phosphorylate receptors on the tyrosine residues. The end result is phosphorylation. This phosphorylation activates cytosolic proteins called signal transducer and activator of the transcription. This signal transducer and activator of the transcriptors causes the activation of the transcriptions. As a result, a specific type of protein is transcribed or produced, and the effect of hormone is achieved. So this was the detail of mechanism of action of hormones through intracellular receptor as well as through membrane hormone receptors, and the role of second messengers. We all discussed. Here we have a brief summary. It is a sort of quick recap regarding the our objectives of the today's activity. So hormone is a chemical substance that is secreted into the blood by the endocrine gland. Chemically, it is a polypeptide, steroid, fatty acid derivatives or amines. Hormones works only on a specific cells called target cells. Actually, when hormones are released from the endocrine glands, they are passing through all cells and all systems of the body, but they will not go everywhere. They go to their specific target cells, because target cells have specific receptors and they have an ability to recognize these hormones. Regarding mechanism of action, there are two types of the hormone actions: hormones that bind to the intracellular receptors by group 1, and the hormones that bind to the cell membrane receptors and use second messenger, group 2. Intracellular receptors may be cytoplasmic for steroid and nuclear for thyroid hormones, and second messenger is actually a signal produced as a result of hormone binding to its cell membrane receptors. And the second messengers may be cyclic AMP, cyclic GMP, calcium or phosphatidylinositol, and protein cascade system, which is used by insulin. So this is a brief summary. I think you have understood well. Uh, Revision is required by you to understand this topic in better way. These are the resources and the references of the books used in preparation of this lecture. This is my email contact. If you have any query, you can use it. So this was the end of the activity. I wish best of luck. Thank you. Goodbye.